All right, everybody. Corey here. So we did this YMAX project last month and basically built a portfolio and tried to do an even weight of, well, I guess it started 2 months ago, but even weighting similar to YMAX, with $1,000. And then we did a follow-up video with that and, showed the amount of money. I guess I could go back to that. So that was this month. We, yeah. So here we showed with $1,000, we basically got $39. Now I will say, it's a little harder to get an even weighting when you're trying to do whole shares and with a small amount of money. But you have to start somewhere, right? But anyway, so I did this, and in this case, it ended up getting about $39 in distributions. And then if I held YMAX, and I don't even know I don't remember then at what dollar amount this, because that's the other thing on the other side of this project is, well, it really depends on when you bought into YMAX also, as far as how many shares you had and everything else. But for this month, this is what I showed. But for April. But anyway, if we would have, just done it through YMAX with those many shares, the payout was $28, which was a 10%, $10 difference. Now, the difference between the yields, it looks like it was 14%, but what we don't have here is if we had what the difference is between the actual distribution. So 1072 divided by 39. It's about 27% difference money-wise there. So, that was just to show that, if you built your own portfolio with your YMAX, that you could get a lot more money. And I'm sorry, maybe I don't even know if I said that right. If you build your own portfolio similar to YMAX, that you could get better distributions and more, than if you just bought YMAX on its own. Now, if you're just starting out with $50 or something, yeah, you can do YMAX, or you can just start, buying into one of these other ones and just build your shares up every month. However you want to do that, again, we just started with a low amount of $1,000 here. And then also last month, I think it's hidden here, I had, well, what if I had bought even shares? Just curious, right? So I did 2.7, not even shares, sorry. Well, even shares for each of the ETFs, but not necessarily whole shares. So here, the way to easy to do that was 2.7. I know everybody can't do, halves or whatever like that, but for this case I just tried to do it this way to see, and it actually showed that it would have paid better if I'd owned an even amount of shares versus equal weighting. So like this shows it would have been a 43% or $43 payout versus the 39. Obviously that's only $4, it's not a lot, but if this $10 was 27% more less, then I guess that would be somewhere around, I don't know, 13, 10 to 12% less. But anyway, so then that gave me the idea to, and if you want to, watch that video, you can go back and see this first one. But that was sort of, that was the first attempt at it. And then I saw that, well, if we have even number of shares, at least based on the 1 month, we might do better. So then I decided to go ahead and do another portfolio with the even number of shares. So I went in after this. I went in and so this was the April distribution. Okay. I started another portfolio with even number of shares, or that was my intent. And then kept this one with the equally weighted, and then I added $1,000 to this account to bring it to 2,000, and then I went ahead and did 2,000 to the other account so they could be about the same dollar amounts. So then we went into May. Now, this wasn't perfect, and I was like, okay, that's okay, right? Because then I can explain to you, issues and stuff that I might have had. So, me, even though this is a small number of shares, I still only wanted to buy when the market was down. And I know, people are going to say, oh, if you just DCA and blah, 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 gotcha. I have the mentality that I want to buy when things are down. So, I started doing that. And so this is that same account with the 2000. The problem is I did not pay as much of attention to these as I should have, because I spend too much time doing YouTube videos and spreadsheets for YouTube, that here I didn't do as good as I should have. And then so one thing I ended up doing is I ended up possibly buying more into one that I should have. So you can see, for instance, here, Misty, I had 5 shares, but it shows my cost was $173, and I should have only been at about $107 for these, based on, looking at up here. Basically, it took, there was 19 ETFs, 2,000 something dollars, for equal weighting was about $107 for each one. And then either I had an open order that I didn't realize or something, and then I purchased too many, but then I didn't want to just turn around and sell it and claim do the loss. And then, and then the weightings, of course. Well, the other thing was, at the beginning, these stocks can go way different from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. Misty being a great example of that, going from $40 to around $27. And then, so unless you bought them all at one time, you never truly, you didn't have an equal weighting. And even if you did buy them all at one time to have that equal weighting, it would have only been that day, right? So that was a few things that I ended up running into as I was doing this. And then I'd buy some, and I'd come back later, and of course then it would show, oh, well, I'm too much here and I should have done there, or whatever. And then I don't know that I did it with this account, and maybe, yeah, I did. See Zomo down at the bottom. See, it only has 3 shares. I should have had like 5 shares, and I didn't. I failed to purchase the total number before the end of the month. I totally forgot about it, and because I only looking at these a few times throughout the month. And and the other thing with this is, because we're looking at equally weighted, well, I don't really know what equally weighted is unless I'm going to look at my spreadsheet. So that was another thing that I found. So just a few things. I'm sure I didn't mention everything here because I'm just sort of shooting off the hip with this. I've been working on these spreadsheets for days and trying to get updated, but I keep going around in and out, and I don't even know where I'm at, to be honest with you. I just decided I should go ahead and do the video, and then maybe I'll make it better next month. But this is some of the issues I ran into. So because of that, and it's hard to exactly compare, without being able to do the right thing. I didn't stress. At first I was stressed. I was like, crap, it's not going to work out. I didn't do what I should, but it allowed me to, share with you some of the cons that I found while I was doing it, or some things that I may have not done as good as I should have. So then it could take a lot of work, right? And that's what we don't want to do, or a lot of people, I'm sure, don't want to do it, which is why they prefer to just do YMAG or YMAX. But, you could have just, as soon as the month started, go ahead and take that $1,000 and went ahead and invested all of it at that one time. $1,000's not much, but, if you're looking at 10, 20, something thousand, I know people have a lot more than that watching. I still wouldn't say do it all at once. Maybe you do some this week, and then the next week do, a little bit each week for 4 weeks. And that's, again, it's all up to you, but I think it's easier if you're doing this if you buy all at once. But the question is, if you're buying YMAX, do you buy in all at once? If you're only buying a few shares a month, maybe. But if you buy 20,000 shares, are you buying them all at once, or are you buying a little bit each week? And so you could look at that depending on what you're doing. If you are invested in YMAX now and you're thinking about doing it this other way, you could use the same, principles that you're doing now. It just may be on several tickers. So instead of buying one ticker every week, you just buy the 10, 19 or 20 or whatever. But anyway, so that's just some thoughts there, some things that I didn't do well, and yeah. Doesn't mean I'm not going to still try to buy on the dips. It just means I may not. Maybe I should try to pay more attention, or I'll just have to adjust, like I'm fixing to show you, to be able to compare, right? So then what I did, because I did fail to do this, to do my account well, to be able to share with you, I went ahead and did this adjusted spreadsheet, which basically just meant I'm using the cost that I had paid, for these, or the average cost that I had paid for them, and then just made the number of shares what they should have been. And so you can see here our weightings look a lot better this month. We're looking now with the 2,000, it's 5 to 6% there. Now, if we look back at April, we saw we had 4 to 6%, but the group's getting a little tighter with the more money we're able to do here. So anyway, so we have this, of course, with the distributions and the amounts here. So then if we look here, we can see, let me zoom out a little bit, that we had for the project, we had 105 shares at $2,042. And obviously this is adjusted. So it's about that amount with and the and the distribution for that dollar amount would be like $84 or 49%. If we want to look at this, per one share, it would be one share is about an average of $19.45 with an 80-cent dividend or distribution payment. And then using YMAX, again, this is where I struggle too, is like, well, what would I have bought YMAX at? Which then makes me think, okay, maybe what I should do for this next month, and I don't know that it so much as matters because everybody's thing's going to be different, but maybe I should simulate buying YMAX. I don't want to actually do it personally, so I'm not going to do that, but maybe I just do a tab and be like, today would be with a red day or whatever. This is a day I would buy YMAX and document it, and then buy those, throughout the month or whatever. Like I could start with this for previous months, and then I could just, for the additional 1,000 that I put in there, simulate it. But just so I'm not just picking one date out of the month and saying, or maybe what I could do instead of doing that, I could just do the method of, well, if I bought every Monday on this date, just use that close date or something. But I don't like the fact of just using one date, because these could be up or down. I mean, it's really, it doesn't make a huge difference, especially when these are similar to the same amount anyway. The big difference, I guess, would be the yield, the biggest difference. But the other difference is to simulate how many shares that we bought, right? So if we're trying to do about the same price for these to make these about even, the project with the estimate of YMAX, well, we have to determine how many shares. So we know if we can buy at $19 or $21, that makes a difference on shares, which then makes a difference on how much yield we could get. So I didn't think about it, but maybe next month I just if I bought every Monday, at the close price for the 4 weeks to get to the total number of shares, or the purchase amount, then we use that dollar amount. And then I could start doing that to simulate that. But anyway, in this case, $20.63 was picked. I don't know if that was like the day before. I don't remember now if that was the day before the dividend date or the ex-dividend date or what. But in this case, we're using 20.63, which, the distribution was 63 cents. And then therefore, if we had that dollar amount, the same dollar amount as the project amount there, we could have bought about 99 shares at that price, right? So then it shows over here for that, then it means our distributions would be about $62, $63 there. And then the yield is, there's a yield there of 37%. But then that makes a difference between these of $21. And then this one again, there's a difference between the yield here, but not a difference for the actual dollar amount. So if we take 2159 divided by 8414, that's a 26% difference. Between, you know, with using the difference here and our actual project, you're getting 26% less, which I guess I could have put a less distribution based off of that. And I know $20 isn't much, but if you're only getting, you know, $60, $20 is a lot, or if you're only getting $80. And then so looking earlier, since we did look at this earlier, I could see it was about, you know, it paid about 40, YMAX was about 30, and it was a $10 difference, so about 25% there. And then it's, sorry, very similar here in the dollar amount if you're looking at, you know, 80, 60, and 20, 20. So, yeah, so that's looking at these, you know, the project that we started with, trying to do it equally weighted. Now what I've done, like I said, I went into doing even. Now, I still didn't do this one right because, again, I forgot to do this before the ex-dividend date, but the goal here was to buy in 5 shares, right? 5 shares. Easy. It should have been easy enough, right? We just buy 5 shares and be done. Could have done it at any point in time. Could have done 1 share a week and then done one week with 2 shares. Or you could have just done them all and been done with it. But I didn't. And so you can see here, I did it for most of these. And then somehow I bought too many of Nestle. I don't know what happened. Like I said, I could have had double orders in or whatever. Same thing with Misty here. I did the same thing. So those two were over 1 or 2. And then Murney, I never even ended up buying. I guess by the time I was looking, they were never going down and they were just going up. So I never bought in. So I didn't do great here. However, one of the things I loved about doing it this way is I didn't have to reference a spreadsheet. I didn't have to know look up to see how many shares I needed to buy, or weightings, or worried about, did the stock price change? Did my weightings change? Do I have to worry about where we went the last few weeks and how close my weightings are or not? So I love the fact that all I had to worry about was actually purchasing them, but purchasing 5. And that's just what it ended up being for $2,000. And I don't have these accounts exactly even dollar amounts. I need to do that. I just haven't done it because I wanted them to match exactly with the distributions and everything and have the exact same dollar amount in both of these accounts. The problem is this one that I started with, it actually had some money in it. So like you can see here, Tesla. Clearly, I didn't buy these at $23.78 at this point. I was supposed to adjust that off, and I didn't. So I'll have to go back, and it just didn't make it for this video. But I think I had it. No, I hadn't even showed this one yet. So anyway, I got some adjustments to do here just to make sure that these accounts equal the same dollar amount. I think it was supposed to be, and I was writing off the Tesla increase because I didn't want to sell it just to rebuy it, just so my average would look right here. But anyway, so just to mention that, I was just using an account that I'd done for promotional purposes with Weeble, and then I ended up not liking it as much as I like Moo Moo. But I had some things in it, just a few. I had some Clip and Tesla. Of course, I sold out of the Clip for the purposes of this and used that money to buy some of these. And then deposited that extra couple of thousand. But anyway, again, I didn't do the best at buying. I didn't get these completed. And then the next thing I knew, we were already past the ex-dividend date and I forgot about the account. But anyway, I want to show you here. So even though I didn't get it all the money invested, there was still a few $100s not invested. I still ended up bringing in $78 in distributions. And if this same amount would have been, in YMAX at $20.11, I don't know why I chose that one on this one and a different one on the other, but it would have been about 85 shares in which I would have got 53 cents. And that's a $24 difference. So I'm guessing this is going to be about 25% again. So 24.33 divided by 78.04. That's more of a 31% difference on this one. But it's still, again, a significant amount. You can see the difference by cents is a 30-cent difference for the distribution. Of course, this account is the one we'll compare because I did not. So what I did the same thing with the other one. I adjusted it. I used the dollar amount that I have here and made sure it lined up with a total of 5 shares, which is what it was supposed to be. Again, I love this method only because I can go into Webull if I wanted to. I don't have to be sitting there looking at a spreadsheet or look up my spreadsheet, and I can see that there's 4 shares and I need to buy 1. Now, the other problem I have is I need to check to see if I have open orders when I do that, because I may have something in there that a limit order that if it hit a certain amount, to just go ahead and purchase. So that would be one thing, but I really loved this method. So anyway, I went over here and I adjusted them. So again, based on what I paid, and made them all 5. So I know a couple of them was too much, then again lowered them to 5, just so it would have that even amount, but using the dollar amount that I had already paid. I didn't use all of the money. As you can see down here, it shows that I basically had 95 shares. $1,925 was spent, so I spent 96% of the money. And then I ended up would have gotten $85 in distributions. And for YMAX, again, same dollar amount here, $20.11, which would have been 96 shares of that. And because I don't want to use the whole portfolio, right? We're trying to get it close to this for the example. But in this case, I know a little bit more money was spent, but it would have $60.65 would have been the distribution. So that's about a $25 difference there. Again, to me, that's a big difference. So 24.48 divided by 85.13, it's 29% difference there in the dollar amount, not in the yield. What did I say? 29%, rounded, of course. So then let's compare these. So if we compare the two adjusted ones, I made this spreadsheet. Again, so we have here, if we had bought 5.5 shares, if we evenly split this dollar amount, the 2,039 or whatever, and we had it evenly split, we can see we could have bought 5.5 shares if we bought it at this price, which was the price, I believe, of what I had spent on the other tab. So then that equaled out to $19.50 a share, and then the total cost was $20.38. So it was pretty close to the $20.39 there. And you see here, we would have gotten the distribution of $93. But now look at the split here, right? These aren't, again, evenly distributed because we're buying equal number of shares. And then if we look over here, this is what we're trying to do more of the yield max way, the YMAX way of the more weighting here. We have 105 shares with about an average of $19.45. This one is a little bit over. Again, it was that using that example from the other sheet, so about $4 spent difference there, and that's $84 in distributions paid. So we can look here at the bottom. Again, 105, 2042, spending 100% of the portfolio on both of these. That's $84 payout with a 49% yield. Of course, we're looking at, okay, what does that equal out if we were looking at 1 share? Just to break it down, similar to like YMAX would be, it'd be 1 share at $19.45 with a distribution of 80 cents a share. And then if we look at that was the even weight, the even shares, we're looking at about 104.5 shares because we used 5.5 shares here. And you're still using 100% of the portfolio, $4 difference, with the distributions being $93.64 with a 55% yield. And then the difference in these is about $10, which is not exactly, let me see, I'm going to try to do this math in my head for some reason. Okay, yeah, so about 10%. I started to say that, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So about a 10% difference. So it's not that huge of a difference between doing them this way, at least this month, right? So we did look at if we'd have bought them half shares last month. What I didn't do, I don't think I did a percentage though. So let's look. Yeah, it was on because it was only like a $4 difference here. Let's see. Where am I looking at my spreadsheet? Okay, 43.12 minus, and I really don't even have to use the cents because these are all, estimates anyway, so 9%. So about a 9%, 10% difference there. Of course, better in both cases for 2 months anyway. About 9 or 10% better with a doing even shares versus even yield. But obviously building the portfolio, regardless of which one you do, is better than actually holding YMAX itself. And then you could do it all different ways. But I'll do this project, I think, at least one more month. I've already put $1,000 into both of these accounts again. So $1,000 for each month. And then I've already actually started, or at least I did a few the other day. I just need to do a better job this month of trying to keep these up. And then I'll do for the YMAX, I think unless I can think of something different or y'all suggest something different, I'll just do if I bought this number of shares every week on this day. I don't know. I don't know how many of you, actually like to see this comparison. I mean, we usually, all the time we just use numbers, right? Whatever is out there in the system, not actual numbers that people are buying and comparing. But I just thought it would be a cool little project, which is why I started it. And I've just, and then I had the other idea, which is why then I added to that this month. And then maybe I'll do it one more month. I just don't know how many of you really care or not. Whether I'm actually buying into these myself. But anyway, y'all let me know what you think. I'm still building the spreadsheet. I don't spend a lot of time on it. I started trying to build this a little bit better. So you can see here, this is me going into June for my even shares. This one's easy because I know, what am I buying this month? I'm buying 8 shares. So I'll be going from 5 to 8. So that's pretty easy. I do have a need column here. And then this is to tell me, because again, I want to buy them when they're down. I don't want to buy them when they're way up like this. So I had this here before. I just didn't have it color coded and making it all look nice and pretty. And this is telling me how much money I have left at the top for all of these. And then actually I decided to be, okay, what are my total returns too? So I don't have that built. Well, I guess I do. So if I'm looking at today, so I didn't think about sharing this, I forgot. If I'm looking at today, these are the price changes in this column for each of these ticker symbols. So in all, I've already lost $54, and most of that is, actually that's wrong because this isn't right. So I've probably lost maybe $15, and that's mostly thanks to Misty, because when I started this, Misty was up at like $39, and it completely dropped from there. So, but yeah, this is not right because I have to adjust this off because I need to put it at a price that was actually at the time. I guess that's what makes this a little bit harder that I'll have to do, at least with Tesla, because I used an account that already had some in it. But anyway, if that was right, or you know what, let me just change it. Let's just say that this is I don't even know. Let's say I've lost $15 here. I don't know that that's true or not. But let's say I did lose $15 on Tesla. Then it shows here my overall portfolio has gone down $25 based on the prices, the actual stock prices. And then I had 109 shares, so that means I went down 23 cents a share. So it's like owning YMAX, right? That's why I break it down to share, because this is our portfolio, just like YMAX has the portfolio, the underlying ETFs. This whole thing is a portfolio, so don't try to look at these individually, because that's not the point here. But anyway, so that means we would be down 23 cents a share, not including distributions, okay? So then we go into the total dividends paid. In this account, this is the even one, so I've only had it in May. But it paid out, the 7804, so I have the 7804 here. And if we divide that by the total number of shares we currently have, that's 72 cents distribution a share, which then gives us our change price, right? Those together. So it means our portfolios actually went up $53 or 49 cents a share. So I'm starting, like I said, I'm going to build this. I need to build it on the other one as well. This over here is just the number of the distribution for that month, the number of shares that I owned at that time, and then that even number. So this is the actuals and not the adjusted. Of course, I can go back and do this for adjusted too, so you could see what it should have been versus my screw ups. But the good thing for y'all, for me screwing up, even though you see the adjusted numbers based on, my actual data, but it doesn't, I don't have to do perfect, because if I can identify issues or cons or things that I didn't do right, then I can let y'all know. And then if you're doing this, then you can try to not do the things that I did, right? I can make the mistakes for you, so to speak. And then if any of you are building these, how about share in the comments what you've been doing and how you've been purchasing them. Are you set up on a plan, or are you just buying them all up front? But when you do that, also let us know, what size of a portfolio you're working with. Because I think that, to me, that matters. Because like I said, if it was just 1,000 and that first month it showed we would buy 2.7 shares a piece, or if it was just the 2,000, you're buying 5 shares a piece. I mean, I could easily see just buy it up front, 5 shares, and be done with it. But if you're buying, like I said, 1,000 shares a month, I wouldn't think you would want to do that. So please, share what you're doing, or if you haven't done it yet, maybe some other suggestions that I haven't thought of. But then make sure if you're actually doing this, put the size of the shares, the portfolio, however you want to do it, just so we can compare those ideas out there. So anyway, this is, I don't think I started building any of this on the other one. Let's see. Yeah, so I got the market thing. I didn't start building that stuff to the side. But just to show you here, so this is what I built. And I didn't like, the reason, I don't think I've showed y'all a lot of this last time, because this stuff is barely even built. I don't even like the way I had it. I did clean this up a little bit. But just to show you what I have this second for the even ones here, it's taken, let's see. I don't even know what it's doing. Oh, am I going the wrong direction? No, it's hidden. So I have some stuff hidden here. I guess it wasn't. So it was doing down here. So this, and I don't know if you've watched it before, but basically it was taking, this is what we should be spending, or this would be what would make it have an equal weighting, and getting those close to this to tell us, well, how many shares I should have. And then this is over here is telling me, okay, this is where we're at. And then our even weighting versus our current. This is the current price, and this is how many shares that I would need currently. And then this is telling me, let me just make sure, AF, so yeah, current price. So this is telling me if I bought the number of shares that I need at the current price, this is how much it's going to cost me. And this is this is actually important because I was actually running out of money last month because I had screwed up and over purchased in some, right? I don't know why I don't have a sum here. Paste. I don't even know why this is doing a percentage. Oh. So I'm going to clear this because it's not even coming from the right column. So I need to fix that. But in this case, let me just highlight them. So this is saying if I just did all those, I would need $1,300. I don't have $1,300. I know I have an extra 1,000 plus the dividend payment. So yeah, I wouldn't even have enough to buy here. Now, then that's probably when I would look at some of these share prices that are extremely expensive, or I'd look over here. Of course, these are based on a different day of me highlighting some things. I mean, I probably could do half shares or something. Well, no, in this account, I cannot do half shares in this account. I could do it in the even share one, I think. I've never done it, but I think I can. But then this is just where I would have to, make a decision on how I'm going to go about doing this. But I would probably just not buy in one that's probably more expensive, like this one. But then I would also look at the yield. Of course, I'm going to also look over here, right? And I'm going to try to buy ones that are down, and not necessarily just down for today, though that's what this is. Maybe I should do it down for a week or something. But I definitely wouldn't be going and buying these for Coney at the price it is in hopes that it's going to go back down, right? So anyway, this is just something I've started building and whatever else. And again, if you just, some of you just might want to be like, I just need an easy button, and whatever, I would say whatever you're doing for YMAX, do it for these then. Like I said, if you just take, $1,000 and you put it in there and you just put it all in at YMAX at once, then buy all these at once right off the bat and be done with it. If you break it up every week, then break it up every week and just buy one share a week, depending on however many shares you need to buy, every Monday or whatever. It doesn't have to be hard. I'm making it hard because I don't know. Apparently, I just like living a hard life. But, or maybe you get, when you're buying Misty at $40 and then it jumps down to 30. That sort of makes you sick too. But anyway, that's just, again, this is all a work in progress, just slowly building it. So let me know, what you think about this, about the project. Do you like me doing the project? Do you think I should continue to do it? Are you doing a similar project like this? Tell us, share us your experiences. I'm sure there's things I forgot to mention, some pros and cons, what you're doing, how you're investing it. And then if you're not, let us know. Are you thinking about it? Do you have questions? Because I know I'm not the only one doing it. But anyway, yeah, let's just share, because this right here is a project for us, not just for me. And we're trying to work through this together. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed all of this, and I guess that's it for today. But anyway, again, don't forget to let me know your thoughts. And again, it's not just for me, it's for other people out there also trying to do this same thing or thinking about it. And they all need to hear from more people than just me. So please share your experiences. Anyway, I will talk with y'all later. I'm glad I'm finally getting around to doing this video again. I know it's been over a month, but I actually enjoy doing this. So anyway, y'all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.